Resident Evil and remakes go together hand in hand, from the impeccable GameCube remake of the original all the way back in 2002 to the Resident Evil 2 remake from 2019. Capcom has always injected so much new life into their beloved entries that make for quality remakes that stand side by side with their original counterparts. In 2020, Resident Evil 3 did receive its own remake, but it was very much a rush project and a missed opportunity full of cut content and lacking compared to its original release. While still a fun game, it just didn't have that love and care that Resident Evil 2 Remake did. So hot on the heels of this Resident Evil Remake series, we have the fan favourite Resident Evil 4 getting its very own remake now. But was it worth the wait? Let's find out. The original Resident Evil 4 is shockingly an eye-watering 18 years old this year. This reviewer was just 9 years old at the time and didn't get a chance to play this classic till its Wii port in the late 2000s. But wow, looking back, the years have certainly flown by. But when this game was announced, many wondered, did it really need a remake? And I was one of them. But going back to the original Resident Evil 4, it's still a fantastic game, but it does feel a little bit archaic in some aspects. So a remake would be interesting. And I have to be honest, Capcom has done a sterling job here. The story of the game goes like this. This sees the return of Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil 2, but this time he's a special agent and he's on a special mission to rescue the president's daughter, who's been kidnapped and is in a rural Spanish village. The main gist of the story still plays the same, with the same story beats as the original, but a few things have been changed up, and also some characters you meet along the way are expanded. But I don't want to say anything in risk of spoilers, but rest assured, long-time fans are in for a treat. RE4, when it launched all the way back in 2005, it sort of revolutionised the third-person combat, as it seemed to perfect it in a way that many other developers took notice of. And you could say it inspired a lot of those third-person shooters that we saw a lot of back in the 360 and PS3 era. But this remake has given the combat a huge facelift, feeling very much like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. You can move while shooting, which you couldn't do in the original. Also, Leon has a cool knife, which you can see in the trailer, that can actually parry the chainsaw dude, which is ridiculous but ever so satisfying to pull off. You can parry most enemy attacks and give them a good kick afterwards. The knife also partners up with the new crouch mechanic, which allows for more stealth gameplay. But here's the kicker, every time you use the knife, it slowly breaks away, so you can't rely on it. Think something in the lines of the Sheebs in the Last of Us games, but you can repair it at a merchant store. More on him later though. Enemies have also seen a boost. In the original they were still quite a job to deal with in large numbers, but even a couple of standard enemies now can be quite brutal. Enemies are faster and more relentless. Even playing on normal difficulty, you can easily blast through a hefty amount of ammo in many tension-packed situations. The weapons here all feel weighty and there's a great selection of them, and you can pick up many going through the game, from exploring the game's world or just from the merchant. You have pistols, magnums, rocket launchers and shotguns, of course, to dispatch the various foes in your way. There is a new weapon here called the bolt thrower, and it's worth having, as if you kill an enemy with it you can get your ammo back. So essentially it's a free kill. You can also add a mine to it, so if an enemy touches it, it will deal devastating damage. So there's a lot of experimentation here. A nice little highlight for PS5 users is the Dualsense haptic feedback. From footsteps to gunshots, the Dualsense is used to perfect effect here, from tapping the triggers to use a submachine gun or riding the jet boat on the river. It all adds to the experience and creepy nature of the game. So good on Capcom for including it, as some developers don't even bother to use the Dualsense. One of the more iconic characters from the original game was the merchant, with his various iconic quotes and quirky behaviour, and the lovable merchant makes his return here, delivering plenty of quips and funny lines, but also staying quite mysterious. His store packs loads of weapons, equipment, upgrades for your weapons, and also his requests. A new addition here, his requests, which are small side missions which will net you some lovely rewards and well worth doing. There's also a few shooting galleries here, which are fun little attractions which are worth doing as you earn medals, and you can trade these in for random drops of these little figures that you can attach to your case to gain extra perks. So that's a nice little extra to the gameplay. We also need to talk about exploration here, as the game has kind of opened up in a sort of semi-open world. For example, in the village area you can go to small little islands to find money, equipment, or just little treasures that you can sell for a nice price. The game is still very traditional and linear to its original form, with a few new changes here and there. But I don't want to spoil anything, but all I'll say is if you think of how the police station was in the Resident Evil 2 remake, how you could go back and get extras, then you're on the sort of same wavelength. The original Resident Evil 4 was a rather lengthy and meaty experience, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is no different. Leon's European vacation will take you quite a while to complete. It took me a good 18 or so hours to reach the game's conclusion, and for the average person, I'd say it's a good 15 to 20 hours to complete the game and get most of the collectibles. But Resident Evil games are known for their replayability, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is no different. From multiple collectibles, side missions and harder difficulties, and of course speed runs as well, the trophy list will see you aiming to complete the game for a good 4 to 5 times, so there's plenty of bang for your buck here. With the release of the original RE4 game, there was a few bonus modes. Now, after you complete the game, you do get access to New Game Plus mode and the access to the bonus shop that has been in other Resident Evil games before. But unfortunately, Mercenaries mode isn't here at launch, but it will be here in a free upgrade in a couple of weeks' time, so that's great. There's also a PSVR 2 upgrade in the works, and there's heavy rumours that the Ada side story Separate Ways is coming, but it's unknown whether it's paid or free DLC, but rest assured there's plenty of content on the horizon for this remake. Onto the graphical side of things now, and the Resident Evil games have always been technically outstanding games ever since they changed to the RE engine, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is no different. From the moment you step into the shoes of Leon, it'll make long-time fans' jaws drop. With the huge amount of detail here, it is really quite astounding. Enemies look more gruesome as ever, with even more disgusting detail. Some of them have also had quite a nice modern redesign that stays true to the original, but with a new spin on it. But again, I don't want to spoil it. Throughout the game's 3 different main locations, the village, castle and island, it takes all the iconic locations and bring them a whole new lease of life. The RE engine is easily one of the most impressive engines out there, delivering some of the best looking games out there, and it still does. And considering this is a cross-gen game, it does make me excited what the eventual Resident Evil 9 will look like. There's many different graphical options for the game, from ray tracing, 60 FPS, resolution modes, and even a special hair strand option to make hair look more realistic. For me, I play primarily in the frame rate mode on the PS5, and it sticks to the 60 FPS cap for pretty much all the time, only dropping a couple of times in very busy areas. Unfortunately, it's not all amazing stuff, as there's occasional blurry textures on the PS5 version, which seems to be a glitch, so hopefully they can fix it. Also, when ray tracing and hair strands options are on, the various frame rate issues, so it's best to turn them off. As for the sound side of things, and while Resident Evil 4 Remake, like the previous remakes in 7 and 8, it's an incredibly atmospheric sound design here. The amount of tension here is superb. You'll walk through the village or castle and you'll hear the chanting of enemies in the distance, and that can bring you much dread. The soundtrack is suitably creepy and the voice acting is pretty top tier. As the game is more serious this time round, actors all do a more serious take here, and they do a fantastic job. There's still quite a few instances of that wonderful cheesy script as well, which is brilliant. Conclusion time now, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is finally here, and wow, it's been well and truly worth the wait. This reimagining and rebirth of this classic game feels more darker and scarier than the original game, but still stays very true and has the heart of the original. The gameplay is pitch perfect with many brilliant new mechanics, and its new visual overhaul is incredible, adding so much atmosphere to Leon's interesting European vacation. It was a momentous task, but Capcom has pulled it off, delivering a true labour of love. With much more content to arrive in the future, there's a lot of legs for the rest of the year. My only issue is that there's a few technical issues here and there, but I'm sure they'll be fixed soon. But don't let that put you off this industry standard remake. So with that, I'm giving Resident Evil 4 Remake a 9.5 out of 10 with the title of amazing. As always, thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be totally awesome. And thanks again for watching. You take care, and I'll see you all on the next video. Bye.